Engineered living materials, also known as synthetic biology and cross-domain bacteria. Morgellons disease is now found in everyone's blood. Clifford Carnicom discovered it more than 30 years ago. He found that it was being sprayed from military airplanes. They're killing us. They're turning us into transhuman cyborgs with synthetic biology. Most scientists and doctors are saying that people have a bunch of microplastics from plastic pollution, but it's actually these engineered living materials that are being sprayed on all of humanity worldwide, at least 193 countries. It's called cross-domain bacteria because it's a new form of life and it crosses all domains, all kingdoms of life. Here we can see the different kingdoms or forms of life and how they added synthetic biology and cross-domain bacteria to the mix since they invented these, so they're not made up science fiction story or a conspiracy theory. They're a real thing, and they're really being sprayed on all of us. So yeah, it's not good at all. But here we got hybrid living material. You got domains, kingdoms, phyla, class, and family. Living polymers, metal and alloys, ceramics, living carbons, composites, living hydrogels, elastomers, alloys, living precious metals, oxides, living carbon nanotubes, living graphene, and living metal materials. Engineered living materials, ELMs, combine synthetic biology and material science to create substances containing living cells that can self-heal, grow, and respond to stimuli. In transhumanism, ELMs offer a biological route to human enhancement, moving past rigid metal or plastic prosthetics towards adaptive biohybrid systems that can merge seamlessly with living tissue. Biohybrid prosthetics, integrating living responsive skin or muscle-like layers onto mechanical interfaces to mimic natural touch and thermal regulation. Biohybrid prosthetics, integrating living responsive skin or muscle-like layers onto mechanical interfaces to mimic natural touch and thermal regulation. Smart implants, programmable hydrogels and cellular matrices that interact directly with human mechanosignaling and neural pathways. That's your brain. Autonomic repair, materials capable of self-healing and dynamic remodeling, mirroring the transhumanist goal of physical regeneration. Environmental responsiveness, sensing light, pH, or stress to trigger localized drug delivery or structural shifts. So it's going to know when you have a disease or what's in the environment, and it's going to release a drug into your body. Metabolic integration, using engineered cells as microscopic factories to produce localized proteins or harvest energy. Sustainable materials that can be grown from small quantities, capable of aiding in wound healing, delivering medications, or even heating buildings. That's the promise of engineered living materials, also known as active and response materials. These cutting-edge materials consist of scaffold populated by or even built from living cells, that's your living cells, which react in specific ways to different stimuli. Even more impressive is their ability to sustain, regulate, or heal themselves. These materials can be made using easy-to-grow cell types, such as yeast, fungi, and fast-growing bacteria strains such as Escherichia coli or Bacillus subtilis, To achieve the desired material response, however, to provide the appropriate material response, the cells must be able to thrive in their engineered environment, just as they would in their natural habitat or in a controlled laboratory setting. They're also using it in construction materials that can rebuild themselves. So basically they're spraying it on everything so everything will become synthetic. Living polymers are a type of plastic synthetic biology, and they're used in geoengineering. ELMs, hybrid systems, combine living microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, or algae with polymer networks used for soil stabilization, carbon sequestration, and self-healing sustainable infrastructure. They actively grow, self-repair, and respond to environmental stimuli to mitigate environmental degradation. So they're used in geoengineering, and what is that? That means they're using airplanes to spray this stuff on us, called living polymers, and it's also used for transhumanism. Polymer-based type: photosynthetic hydrogels, metabolic synthetic polymers, and spore-embedded plastics are all being sprayed on us. Stratospheric aerosol injection, SAI. The primary use case involves deploying engineered porous or rod-like polymer structures into the stratosphere to scatter incoming light. Porous polymer matrices. Recent patents detail the use of micrometer to nanometer size porous particles with a continuous polymeric phase. These particles contain discrete air-filled pores optimized mathematically to scatter shortwave solar radiation back into space. Synthetic biology control. Researchers reprogram DNA in bacteria, yeast, or algae to direct cell growth, direct matrix assembly, and trigger chemical responses. Living polymers. Networks where biological cells generate, modify, or interact with polymeric scaffolds to create materials with lifelike adaptability. In transhumanism, these programmable adaptive materials represent a frontier for merging machine architecture with living tissue. In synthetic biology, living polymers describe adaptive, non-equilibrium materials that merge synthetic polymer chemistry with engineered biological machinery. These hybrid systems use living cells, protein filaments, or metabolic pathways to grow, self-heal, change stiffness, and respond to environmental stimuli in ways traditional plastics cannot. Engineered living materials, ELMs, matrices, or living cells are embedded within or coupled to polymer networks, enabling auto-regeneration and environmental sensing. Intracellular polymerization, building synthetic polymer networks directly inside the cytosol of living cells to boost structural stability or alter cellular functions. And this is really happening inside of people's cells. Here's an example of a ELM, an engineered living material, synthetic polymer, living polymer that came out of somebody. They're calling it morgellons. Here's another one found in human blood from Neo on Substack. It literally has a serial number on it, confirming that it's engineered synthetic.
Here we can see what I presume, or we presume, is a cross-domain bacteria wriggling away in one of my red blood cells. And lo and behold, this is how they've been working with bacteria to do their evil work. That's another little bacteria. Thanks to that, and some healthy white blood cells.
Unbelievable. Polymers built inside the body through blood catalyzed chemistry allow on-demand brain control. So that's what they're doing to people. They did it to a mouse using these particles. They self-assembled them inside their bloodstream and sent them to their brain, and they controlled their behavior, making them pull different levers and things in a test.
This synthetic biology is an attack on the entire body, including the blood. CDB, synthetic biology, morgellons, and blood transformations are all part of the same attack. The number of people who have died from this is unknown, as well as those who needlessly continue to suffer. The most heinous revelation here is the alteration of human biology. This is a violation of the sanctity of our existence. The cross-domain bacteria presents a xenobiotic challenge to our biological systems and a threat to our very existence.
Bioengineered living materials and hybrid living materials, and it has living cells with nanoparticles, living cells within fibers, and it has these other different things, but these are the ones that concern me the most, these two on the left. This kind of shows you how they're doing it. They mix polymeric materials with engineered cells, then they manufacture some type of material, then they put it inside of you, and it self-assembles into engineered living systems. They found that bacteria growing inside of concentrated polymer fluids like mucus physically organize into serpentine cables that intertwine to form a living gel. This behavior bridges polymer physics and microbiology and intersects across the domains of life when mixed domain microbial communities such as bacteria and fungi coordinate within shared polymeric matrices. Cable morphogenesis. Cells grow into long strands, buckle, and twist into a tangled network functioning as a living material. These synthetic polymers can grow, shrink, heal, and reshape themselves like living tissue. Researchers create living polymers that grow, degrow, and reprogram their properties after fabrication using reversible chemistry and light-activated catalysts. So they're talking about regrowing limbs and everything from this. This is called transhumanism, immortality they're going for.
Analyzing what we have in our air. This is a sample that I brought, and this is what we have on the screen. It's alive. It's a
nano. It's a life.
It's artificial life.
Artificial life. Yes.
Wow.
And his mission is webbing.
So what are we looking at here?
Okay, this is when you scratch your skin.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you scratch something like the skin was changing, so it's kind of floating on you. And after, that's why you see the fiber.
Okay.
And it become after more look as a morgellon.
Morgellons, and this is what we keep hearing about on the internet.
Yeah.
This is on all of us.
Yes.